Okay, welcome back everybody. We're in chapter 15, Genesis chapter 15 today. One of the high points of the Old Testament, one of the most important chapters. It's the Abrahamic Covenant, where God initiates an unconditional covenant with Abraham and his descendants. There in the first couple of verses, you're looking back to chapter 14 and the battle that Abraham had, rescuing Lot, gathering all of the things that were taken and having this great victory. But you can read through that as God reassures him, don't be afraid, Abram. We know from that Abram was probably concerned about those kings uniting and coming against him again. But God says in a sweet and great promise that we can all take, he is Abram's exceedingly great reward. He is the shield for Abram. And in that, we understand that we are also under that shield, that protection, that covering, that God watches over those who are his. So following that, you have the second aspect of it, where there's the dialogue where Abram is asking, well, how are the promises going to happen because I don't have any kids? And God begins to express the covenant and the generation and his seed. You might even see that notation there in let me see, in verse 5, so shall your descendants be your seed, singular. That's also mentioned in Galatians, and it becomes a very specific marker as a descriptor of Christ himself. The Messiah will be of Abram's lineage, Abram's seed, and in all the nations they will be blessed in that aspect of who Abraham's family line will become. And there, right after that, verse 6, Abraham believed God, and it was accounted unto him righteousness. So this is the key. Belief, God accounts it, then imputes it to your account as righteousness. So Abram sets the template for how does a righteous life actually play out. Do I believe God? Am I entrusting all that I have, all that I can be, into God's hands and God's care, and it's accounted to him for righteousness. So then the second half of the chapter, God instructs Abram to gather specific animals, cut them in half, create a left and a right side and a corridor between them. And at that point, that's kind of the ancient concept of cutting covenant, of making an agreement, a binding blood agreement. But at the point of both participants walking through the the ceremonial passageway, Abram is put into a deep sleep by the Lord. And then God passes through, there's a fire that consumes all of the sacrifice. And we understand from that it is an unconditional, one-sided covenant, nothing based on Abram. God takes the sole responsibility to follow through with all that he's promised, and he gives Abram kind of the road map or the map of geography that he's promised his descendants and his family there at the end of the chapter. So just quick review of Genesis 15. Hope you enjoyed as you study it, and we'll go on to 16 next. Thank you.